I was talking with Sam a little bit about this today, and we really feel like everything is finally starting to come together. We had big dreams, and then several things happened, but the biggest one was we had Annie, and when we realized everything wasn't right, it became like a pause button and everything else, and we kept saying, if we could just make a few more months, we'll have this figured out, and then we'll get back to doing what we're doing. And months turned into years because the conditions kept piling on top of each other. And so it'll allow us to get her OT and her PT therapies, to get reading support and writing support for her, which is kind of part of OT, and language support for her through the school system while still homeschooling her. And I'm really excited about this. Well, good early morning and welcome to Teal House Farm. Today is a super busy and kind of important day. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we're gonna get things started early. It's 5:30. I've actually been up for about 20 minutes and I've been sitting on the floor in front of the space heater because it's super cold this morning. And there's the baby. He's awake too because he just heard me talking. It's that weird time of the year where it gets cold at night, like 30 degrees, but it's too warm during the day. It gets up to like 70. So it's too warm to use our wood stove, because if we started it as soon as we got up in the morning, by the time it actually got warm enough to heat the house, it would already be 65 outside, and then the house would go from cold to have to open all the windows and sweating it out. And then you have to let all that hot air you worked so hard to make out because the house is too hot. And so we need the day temps to go down just a little bit, which should be happening later this week. So maybe today Sam can clean out the chimney pipe, and then we can get our wood stove started later this week, and then there'll be no more super cold mornings, which will be nice. But like I said, it's about 5:30, so the girls should be asleep for at least another hour. Hopefully the baby will go back to sleep, because it's hard to get things done if he's awake, because I don't want him to wake everybody else up. But I want to make some banana bread this morning. I need to make more laundry soap, and I need to get everything packed for the day. Because I'm going to the school to discuss hopefully an IEP for Annie to go along with her homeschooling, and then Sam's going to take everybody else to therapy, and then I'm going to meet them there and swap and take everyone to homeschool co-op. So basically from about 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock I'm going to be gone from the home, so I need to get everything done that I usually done so that the home still runs smoothly, and so that dinner is ready when we get home. So we're just going to get everything done. So let's go. I decided to give up caffeine a few weeks back to see if I felt better, which I do, but I still need something warm to start my day. So a cup of tea it is, and let's get those muffins started. We make a honey whole wheat banana bread muffin. The girls absolutely love them. So I'm gonna make a triple batch today and use my cast iron pans and cook them in loaves. And then we'll eat one loaf for breakfast today, and I will freeze 2 for later. I also canned some mushrooms the other day because they were super cheap at the store, so we're going to put those away in the pantry. Always remove your rings before storage to prevent false seals. And then we're going to try to squeeze them in here. I always think I'm out of room in my pantry, but I always manage to make a little magic work to get them in there. And then I selected some jars to put out for making dinner when I get home. We'll do a super simple breakfast hash with some sausage and a variety of vegetables. Then we're going to get our laundry soap started. Need a lot of water. You need a grater, and then we are going to need our soap bar to shred down. All right, breakfast in the oven, dinner is set out. We're going to do breakfast hash. So lots of jars from the pantry, it's just super fast. And then I already have some, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Maybe not. I already have some sliced apples in the fridge because Ivy had her 8th birthday party with the family the other day and sliced up too many apples. So they're a little bit brown because that happens, right? But I'm going to fry them up with a little bit of honey. So it'll be like a fried apple, and then nobody will know. And we'll just have some toast or something with it. So it'll be super fast once I get home. But now we're going to make laundry soap. And here's an interesting story. I can't find Phelps naphtha soap right now. Not that... I'll be honest, I haven't gone to like 10 stores to look, but I went to 2 different Walmarts this week, and both of them were out of stock. And that's really the only place around here are the Walmarts where you can find it. Our little local stores never have it, and kind of a drive to anywhere else. So we're going to try this. This is Zote soap, and I've seen people use it before, and I kind of Googled it, and they're pretty similar. The smell's a little different, but it's not real fragrancy, which I don't want, and it's still safe for my cloth diapers. So we're going to try this. I'm going to make a small batch just in case it doesn't like work at all. I don't want to waste a lot of the other laundry soap ingredients making something that's not going to work. But This was $1.40, which is comparable to the Phelps naphtha. It's actually probably technically a little bit cheaper because this bar is like twice the size. But to buy laundry soap that's safe for cloth diapers, you got to get things with no softeners, no fragrances, no dyes, all that kind of stuff. Those soaps, those all free and clear soaps, baby safe soaps, are so expensive, the detergents. And if you're going to post below that homemade laundry soap is not detergent, you could just save it, because I know it's not, but I've been using it for 10 years on my cloth diapers, on everything else, and it works great for me. So if it does not work for you, it's probably the type of machine you have, like an HE machine. I do not have an HE machine. I have a use all the water it can machine, because I'm washing diapers and farm clothes and cleaning rags and gross things all the time. This works great. At least it does with the Phelps naphtha, which I can't find. So we're going to try the Zope. If you use Zope, let me know below, because maybe I'm thinking about this too much and they're basically the same thing and it's going to work just the same. I'm going to use the same recipe I always use, just switching the brand name of the soap. And I'm only going to make a half batch because, like I said, I don't want to waste all that energy and find out that I don't like this at all. So, I mean, it smells pretty similar. It's got that like lemony laundry scent. So, let's go. Bread is done. Little people are waking up. Hey Mikey, if I go get some eggs from the chicken coop, would you make scrambled eggs to go with our banana bread?
Sure.
Okay. Whew, it's sparkly cold out here. These are gonna be some frozen eggs. Excuse me. Hey, get off the eggs. Come on. Go. Oh man. It's kind of late in the year to be broody. We got a lot today.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. How about we do 5 chicken eggs and 3 duck eggs? That'd be a good combination. Does that sound good?
I guess.
Okay. Okay, so it is now like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because once breakfast started, the day ran really fast. But we'll talk a little bit about what happened, what's going on with the homeschooling and but still getting services. So most, like everybody watches this knows, right? There's not that. We homeschool all the kids. There's 6 kids, 2 of them that are old enough to legally have to be registered somewhere, and they're, well, not registered. In Missouri, you don't have to register homeschoolers. You just don't register for school. But I'm responsible for their schooling, right? And I have to keep records. And then Annie is technically too young, but she has some learning differences and physical differences. And we have been monitoring her hours this year as well, specifically because I've really been hoping we could get her qualified for services through the school system. And today, after doing lots of testing through the school system, we found out that she has qualified for what is called an ISP. So it's kind of like an IEP, which is, you've probably heard of before, which kids who go to school like with an IEP, they'll get like pulled out for therapies or things that they need extra help. But an ISP is specifically because she's homeschooled. They also use them for private schooled kids who need extra educational services. And so it'll allow us to get her OT and her PT therapies, to get reading support and writing support for her, which is kind of part of OT, and language support for her through the school system while still homeschooling her. And I'm really excited about this. We had to work really hard to get this for her. We tried before when she was in preschool, but the rules are different since preschool in the United States is not part of the nationalized school system, is not funded through the federal government. The qualifications to qualify for like an IEP or special services in preschool are really tough. You have to be really far behind. And so for kids like Annie, that's unfortunate because they're a little bit behind and they do have some physical and learning differences, but they can't get extra supports because they aren't far enough behind. So now by the time she starts kindergarten, even though we've been working diligently at home and diligently at our outpatient therapy, she's a lot more significantly behind her peers, which I think wouldn't have happened had we also been able to get educational services through the school system. But that's a story for another day. But now that she's in kindergarten and that's all federally organized and funded, she now can qualify based on her health conditions for supports. And so she will be able to go to school a few hours a week, and the bus will actually even come and get her, which is wonderful because with other kids at home, everything we do for Annie always disrupts their lives, and I feel a little guilty about that sometimes. But now the bus will come get her, bring her to the school, the elementary school. She'll get her therapy, she'll work on her reading, they'll most likely give her some homework, you know, and then she gets to come back home on the bus, and I don't have to drive everybody somewhere. Everybody doesn't have to wait in the van somewhere for Annie. It's going to be great, so I can just focus on homeschooling my other kids, and Annie can get what she needs. It's not going to cost me a penny in gas or a penny in co-payments or whatever ridiculous things we come up with to try to make healthcare like impossible to reach for some of our kids. Like, it's just funded through like taxes, which we pay into that system, and she can get what she needs. So I'm really excited for this. I was talking with Sam a little bit about this today, and we really feel like everything is finally starting to come together. We spent the last several years, you know, we moved to the farm, we bought the farm 7 years ago, we lived there 6 years, and we had big dreams. And then several things happened, but the biggest one was we had Annie, and when we realized everything wasn't right, it became like a pause button and everything else, and we kept saying, we just make a few more months, we'll have this figured out, and then we'll get back to doing what we're doing. And months turned into years because the conditions kept piling on top of each other, and then there were more specialists and more things and more money, and just like it just got insane. And there were several years in there where we felt like things were not only never going to get better, they were going to get continuously worse because we were struggling so hard to get access to what she needed. Like, I won't get too political, but it's difficult sometimes to get access to things, especially for children with disabilities. There are things out there and they are amazing, but they make them incredibly hard to qualify for sometimes, and that's a shame. But we'll leave that for another day. But anyway, it's starting to finally feel like through this constantly butting our heads against the wall, never giving up, things are finally like the future looks bright. She was able to have that surgery and is doing so much better now physically. She's now going to be able to get educational services through the school, but we're still going to homeschool her, which I still think is best for her in the long term as far as her learning. Just being able to have that one-on-one time learning with mom, a lot of other kids in a classroom. I think that would be difficult for her to stay focused, and also just to not feel defeated, because learning is harder for her, and it's difficult when you're in a room with 25 other kids, 30 other kids, to not compare yourselves and be like, why is this so easy for everyone else when everything is so much harder for me? And you can kind of help protect her from that a little bit at home. I mean, she's gonna know, and she knows a little bit, you know, when she goes to church class and stuff, but it doesn't discourage her yet. And I feel like if we sent her to a classroom full time, it would discourage her sooner. And once you are discouraged, it's incredibly difficult to learn. And so I want her to continue to feel joyful and encouraged about learning for as long as possible. I think the best way to do that is to keep her at home, but also to get special services through the school, so that those things that maybe I don't quite know how to address, somebody who's trained can tell me, okay, you know, with these difficulties, we want to work on this step first. There are so many steps to learning that kids learn just naturally, they just absorb, but when you have differing learning abilities, a lot of times those steps get skipped, and then you just see a child that, you know, is struggling with reading or writing letters, and you don't understand why it's hard for them. And these people have they're gonna, like, they really help. Her outpatient OT, and I'm sure the school will as well, say, this is the step that was skipped. She can't do this, and she needs to be able to do this before she can do that. And so we're gonna work on this little thing first. And I'm really excited to have that input. But also with Sam, you know, finishing up school, he's doing really well in school, and, you know, changing careers to a career that's not only going to pay much better than where we've been the last 15 years, but it's also going to be a job where he only has to work one job, and he only has to work 3 to 4 days a week instead of working multiple jobs 7 days a week. You know, it's been difficult. There's a lot of children at home. I feel like he supports me the very best he can, but he can't be there, you know, to help. And it's going to be great to be able to have him around to be more influential in our children's lives, in their schooling, all sorts of things. It's just starting to finally feel like the future looks a little bit brighter. So I guess maybe just take that as an encouragement, because we for years were on the other end, which I'm sure many of you maybe are watching or feeling this right now, where it feels like things aren't getting better and they won't get better. And in fact, it just looks like things are going to get continually worse. And that's just keep pushing for what your final goal is, and figure out just the little steps to get there, because it's a huge battle, but you can get there just tiny bits at a time. And some of it is changing your own expectations. Like, I think me 4 or 5 years ago never would have asked the school system for help. I would have been too afraid that they'd, you know, take away my right to homeschool my child or something like that. And you know, that's not the case at all. They've been wonderful to work with, and they're very supportive of her continuing to be homeschooled, never tried to pressure me into sending her school full time, you know. And I had to change my prejudices against them and be willing to say, hey, I need help. I still want to do this, but I need help. And once I was willing to step outside of that box and kind of remove some of those prejudices, you know, in other areas too, and even, you know, the types of doctors that we see, I've been able to get her the help she needed because I wasn't standing in my own way. Anyway, that's a lot of chatting. The girls, I just dropped them off at Homeschool Co-op. I have about 20 minutes until my volunteer duties start at the co-op, so I'm sitting in the van finishing my lunch. So I'm going to do that, which, by the way, my lunch is random cut up vegetables and ranch dressing, because I was in a hurry this morning and I did not think far enough ahead to actually pack a full lunch. So when we get home for dinner, Mommy's gonna eat quite a lot. But we'll get done with co-op, we'll go home for some dinner and call it good. We'll see you on the other side.